This time, the conflict is strictly rooted in ethnicity, not religion. Tensions boiled over when Kukis began protesting against demands from the Meiteis to be given official tribal status, which the Kukis argued would strengthen their already strong influence on government and society, allowing them to buy land or settle in predominantly Kuki areas. But there are myriad underlying reasons. The Kukis say a war on drugs waged by the Meitei-led government is a screen to uproot their communities. Illegal migration from Myanmar has heightened tensions. There is pressure on land use from a growing population, and unemployment has pushed youth towards the various militias. Navigating the Kuki-Meitei conflict in India's Manipur state, the failure of the government to act swiftly to stem the violence has deepened the ethnic divide and will make the conflict harder to resolve. The Indian border state of Manipur has been rocked by ethnic violence since May 3 this year. Mobs have burned down villages, forcing over 60,000 people out of their homes. Over 130 people have lost their lives in the clashes between the majority Meiteis and the Kukis. A recent video of a mob sexually assaulting 2 women has brought the crisis in Manipur under the global spotlight. Located in India's northeast, Manipur is home to several tribal groups including the Meitei, Nagas, and Chinkuki Mizo tribes. Meiteis are mostly Hindus and live in the Imphal Valley, while Nagas and Kukis, who are mainly Christian, mostly reside in the hills. Manipur has a long history of ethnic conflict. The British colonial rulers' policy of divide and rule sowed the seeds of strife among different communities, and administrative units were created to facilitate governance. This divided communities and altered the way they traditionally lived. Manipur was divided between the hills and the valleys. Post-independence, policies of successive governments in New Delhi continued to be clouded by ignorance and indifference to issues of the Northeast. The immediate trigger to the recent violence in Manipur was a recommendation made by the Manipur High Court to the Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP, government in the state to include Meiteis in the scheduled tribe category. It sparked concerns among several communities, especially the Kukis, as they are apprehensive that if the High Court order is implemented, they will lose land and jobs. Due to potential competition from the Meitei community, they fear that the Meitei community will buy land in the hills, where the Kukis have had exclusive rights until now. The ethnic conflict in Manipur is a complex one that has deep-rooted historical and social dimensions. The recent violence has added to its complexity and will make it harder to resolve. The violence has concretized the Kuki-Meitei divide, which will take a long time to heal. So deep is the mistrust between communities that there are allegations that the security forces and law enforcement agencies are divided along ethnic lines. If there is any truth to these allegations, then it will be even more difficult to deal with the volatile situation in Manipur. Addressing the Kuki-Meitei conflict requires a multifaceted approach and the collective efforts of all stakeholders involved. Retrieval of weapons that mobs looted from police armories must be prioritized. Efforts should be made to involve civil society organizations in promoting dialogue, PSA building, and reconciliation between the communities. Political leaders from different communities should sit down for dialogue and find ways to reduce tensions. Forming a committee to look into the genuine development issues raised by different communities could be a positive step toward addressing the grievances and concerns of the affected communities. The recent call for a separate entity in Manipur is primarily driven by the Kukis' urgent need to safeguard their welfare and security in response to a significant existential threat. Unlike the demands of neighboring communities like the Meiteis and the Nagas, this aspiration does not pose a challenge to the idea of India. The current demand might not have arisen if not for the substantial threats posed by the Meitei community. In their dealings with the Manipur government, the Kukis seem to have reached the point of no return. The Kuki MP Manipur, Kim, has urged the Indian government to establish a separate state under Article 3 of the Indian Constitution, following demographic and geographical divisions, to ensure lasting peace in the region. The Meiteis, via the imposition of various measures including forest protection and reserved forests, have hounded Kukis from Imphal Valley and burnt their settlements and churches, according to Kim. A house is a place where one lives. It provides shelter and protects you from the rain. It offers you a place to breathe, to let loose, to be free. But when does that house become a home? After you move all your stuff in? After you live there for a year? 5 years? 10 years? Is it the people who we live with that makes it a home? Is it a place, individual, or feeling? So, in order to maintain the peace and harmony in the state, separate administration of shall be given to Kuki to restore normalcy. So our last hope and last wish is to defend the future generation of the Kuki people and the ancestral land and freedom of our rights. Even the schools and college were been burnt down by milities, where thousands and lakhs of students were been born and earned the education for their generation of their life. Street Joseph was the foundation of the students in Sanu area where both communities were brought up and make someone in the future. It was the hardest part of the student life where the alma maters were burnt down alive. It will solemn the student of this school and it will tears up the people of the area where he brought and he created up. See the violence make the town itself change everything, so silent and calm that even the populated town were so calm. It's also changed the life of people that makes differences between the hills and the valley. It was like a misery of my own life that I never thought of it. The ethnic cleansing of the state make me homeless. I feel sorry for myself to imagine that a place I called home was burnt alive in the eye of the innocent villagers. As a teenager of the state we need to survive from the majority milities, we minority should volunteer ourselves to defend our ancestral land and our freedom. The inevitable split between the hill and the valley of Manipur leads the future young of Manipur misery. Both the communities of youth volunteer themselves to defend and to attack each other in the violence. It causes the harmful effect of the youth and destroy the future generation. I hope you enjoy the raw footage of the video and that for our today's video and hope you guys enjoy watching. Thanks for watching the video. See you again. Goodbye.